I'm Joel, and today we're going to talk about problem-solving card text, or PSCT. Now, what is PSCT? Well, PSCT is the way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are worded and have been since 2011. This allows card effects to be easily interpreted, and at least a bit more easily. Problem-solving card text uses certain keywords with particular meanings to get the point across. Some people still don't understand how certain parts work, and that's fine. This video is here to help with that. Let's get started. First off, cards that include a semicolon or a colon always start a chain. Cards without these two symbols will not start a chain. For example, Effect Dealer's effect starts a chain because it says, target one effect monster your opponent controls, semicolon, while Cyber Dragon doesn't have either, so it doesn't start a chain. Text before a colon indicates requirements for the effect to activate, such as being sent to the graveyard. When you can activate an effect also tends to be before a colon. A semicolon indicates something that happens when the effect is activated, such as targeting or costs. For example, cards like Farfa says, target one monster on the field, semicolon, or Pot of Desire says, banish the top 10 cards of your deck, semicolon. Note, if the cost cannot be paid, the effect cannot go off. Cards that have bullet points in the effect that activate in the same chain link will specify with either the words in sequence or simultaneously. Examples are Cyber Repair Plant and Kunai with Chain, respectively. Cards with bullet points that don't include either of these terms resolve in separate chains. An example of this is True Draco Apocalypse. The terms that target or those targets mean the target requirements must still be met in order to resolve, otherwise it won't resolve. An example of this would be Offerings to the Doomed. Effects that include the words it, they, and them mean the target requirements do not need to be met. An example of this is Goki Rematch or Soul Charge. This means if your opponent activates Rematch, targeting Twist Cobra and Suprex, and you activate Call by the Grave and banish the Suprex, then the Twist Cobra still gets summoned from Grave, and so on. Now, let's talk about the most confusing part of problem-solving card text. Use once per turn versus activate once per turn. You may be thinking, but Joel, what is the difference? And I'll say, sit down, let me tell you. Cards that say can only be activated once per turn can be activated again, but only if the effect is negated. For example, if you activate Silver's Cry and your opponent chains Solemn Judgment and you have another Silver's Cry in hand, you can activate that second one. Same applies to once per duel cards like Seal of Orichalcos. On the other side of the coin is the term use. This means that if the effect is negated, you cannot activate it again. An example of this is if you summon Soul Eating Oviraptor and activate the effect to send a card to graveyard and your opponent chains Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Oviraptor's effect is negated and cannot be activated again this turn because it says use instead of activated. And again, same goes to once per duel cards like Dotscaper. Another important thing to note in terminology is the difference between when and if. Essentially, if a card says when, it misses timing, like Dupe Frog or Armageddon Knight. If a card says if, it will not miss timing. As a quick side note, Quick Effect and once per turn during either player's turn are the same thing. Quick Effect just came around after July 2017. Now for one of the most boring yet important parts of problem-solving card text, conjunctives. Basically, the phrases and if you do, also after that, and then mean various different things. And do A, then do B. B happens after A. These things happen in sequence, not simultaneously. A is required for B, but not vice versa. If A does not happen, then stop. Even if B cannot happen, you still do A. In do A and B, both A and B happen simultaneously. Both A and B are required. If you cannot do both, you do nothing. In do A, and if you do B, both A and B happen simultaneously. B is required for A, but not vice versa. If A does not happen, then stop. Even if B cannot happen, you still do A. In do A, also do B, both A and B happen simultaneously, and neither is required for the other to occur. In do A, also after that do B, B happens after A. These things happen in sequence, not simultaneously, neither is required for the other to occur. If a printing you're reading is prior to May 2012, the word "and" indicates simultaneous effects but gives no indication of dependence. The term then indicates sequentiality and dependence. It's just a little side note. I hope you learned something from this video about a very important part of this game, and I hope it helps you do better whenever you play. I'm Joel, and I'll see you next time.